time. It's me just responding to various questions and comments I get on various different videos. I never censor my comments. Always encourage people to jump in on the conversation because it's usually pretty fantastical. Whether we agree to disagree. Always good to say your piece. And today's date is the 9th of January, 2016. All right, let's just jump into it. Okay, but first, I'm a little parched. So, I've had this cup since 1993. I got it at Daytona Beach, and it was filled with Bahama Mamas. It was really good. Really good. Yeah. $5 for the glass, free refills for the night. I remember the first 2 glasses. What a night. Anyway, all right, so let's jump in on this. Yeah, I guess we'll be getting close to bike weekend again, eh? Yeah. Oh, you mean motorcycles? It's the middle of January. Well, it's like not even the middle of January. It's not even the middle of January. It's like -20. I'm cold in the damn house, and it's like whatever. The only motorcycle. I went and looked at my poor motorcycle the other day before we jump into this. This is important. This is very important. And I looked at it, and I heard this soulful sounding violin going really sad. And I looked at my motorcycle. It was all there like, I'm frosted, I'm frozen, and I'm dying. I don't know if I can make it till spring. My clutch lever down. My brake lever has no will to live. My throttle is limp. My back tire is flat. Well, my back tire wasn't flat, but it adds to the pneumatic. My tank is empty. Although I filled it up and put the fuel saver in there. But, hey, getting back to that. I don't think this motorcycle is going to make it. Rev on, my friends. Rev on. Down the road. Oh. It's true, that's what my motorcycle did. No, I actually didn't do that, but I looked at it, it was all frosted. I was like, I hate winter. I hate you, winter. Although I did went out skating the other day, it was fun. All right, so, anyway. All I see in common, man being enslaved and treated like a subhuman more every day, and the consistent fear to speak or act against it. Since I was a child, I knew something was wrong in the world, and now it's so in your face, I can't believe the uprising hasn't happened yet. I'm kind of the same way. So the big question will be, will it take, or how long before the general masses make a stand? Let's face it, Reg, every day is just getting brushed under and the rug, and our freedoms are taken away or policies made to tax us, etc. The people don't make a stand soon. There will be no able to at all. Sadly, it's just a dream that revolution or change will save us. Well, but we're already in the early throes of revolution. Again, go back to 2008. Think of where we were. Like people, okay, you had Occupy Wall Street. Okay, which Occupy Wall Street had a great message. Anybody know what it was? No, it was a bunch of communist students demanding free stuff. And a handful of people really smart in there talking about how bad the banking system was and stuff like that. So it became a leftist, communist student kind of cause, and it lost popularity because the media was able to spin it that, oh, these are just, over-entitled brats, anarchists. They don't have a legitimate claim. But they did, though. But that's the thing about subversion programs. There never can be any legitimate protests. So what they do is the legitimate protesters, which there were lots of them, making arguments against the banking system, for the 2008 crash, the student debts, all that. But then people turn around, well, these students that are complaining about student debt, well, they took on the loans willingly. That is true. And the student loan debt bubble is unbelievable. But the banks loaned it out to people who they knew they couldn't possibly pay it back, knowing that they're going to get a bailout. So there's a little bit of blame to go around. There's no doubt about that. In fact, a lot of blame to go around. But then Iceland did something very, very unique. Instead of bailing out their bankers, they put their bankers in jail. And it's funny how you didn't hear about that on the mainstream media. And yes, they took a hit. Now, mind you, 300,000 people taking a hit for a year to 2 years now, their economies, they still have problems. I mean, they're still a little bit too socialistic there, but on 300,000 people, you'd kind of expect a strong kind of socialistic-minded community anyway. Let's try to get the camera angle right here. But on a country of 320 million, a lot of them, armed to the teeth, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a difference. But that said, what direction have we been moving in? Well, the nationalist groups have gotten bigger. The anti-establishment groups have gotten bigger. You got Trump in office. You have Brexit. So people, they want a revolution, but they don't want to die. Because they know that if it just comes to fighting the strong arm of the government, the firepower is in the hands of the government. Now, and I made this kind of thing talking about it a couple of Q&As ago, where I talked about, like, you always hear me refer to, like, the jihadists, these farmers with rusted out AKs living in cave dwelling with an IQ of 85. I thought I said IQ of 65, but whatever. These guys are dumber than sticks, but you can't beat them. And one guy was saying, no, well, we killed this many people. They only killed this many people on our side. We won. But I said, no, you didn't, because look at the psychological difference, the 22 veterans per day killing themselves, the $20 trillion, the destabilization of the world because of U.S. foreign and Israeli foreign policy, which is the same policy, really, when you look at it at the end of the day. Look at the petrodollar, how it's failing. Look at the people around them. Everybody's seeing pain at some level, different degrees, of course. So they're looking for people to revolt against. Now, the problem is the internet exists. So that's why you've got this thing on fake news, and they're trying to crack down on that. Now, I'm hoping Donald Trump won't be, okay, well, we're just the other side of the coin. We'll crack down on the fake news that's critical of us. No, there should be freedom of speech, not freedom of speech, but in all countries, and get away of this internet censorship. And these too big to fail companies like Google and stuff like that, got to stop bailing them out. And that's what people are demanding. So we're seeing the dissent. The voices are already dissenting. That's why you have Donald Trump elected, is because they're giving that a last chance. There are some people that think bloody revolution is the way to go. I think we got a long way to go before we get there, but it's not as far off as you think. But that only comes in, I think, on the inaction or the action of governments actually open firing on their people. Once that happens, if you're a soldier, you're a cop, or whatever, you are a target. And no, it's not going to be an us versus them. You will not survive it because, again, when you have more guns in your country than you do people, and there's a lot of countries like that, and probably including Canada, you can't go by the official stats because a lot of people never registered their guns in the last gun registry. But that said, when you have that, what do the people who uphold the system to protect the corrupt elites? Number one, how many of those soldiers switch to the other side and become the freedom fighters? Probably quite a bit. So I'm thinking you already saw a military coup if you're going with what Steve Pachenik was saying, basically you saw a soft coup in the United States. That's why Donald Trump is elected. They used the intelligence agency, but it doesn't mean the new boss is better than the old boss. So that's why it's really up to the people to hold the governments accountable and feet to the fire. And that is coming. It's coming more and more as people suffer. So that said, I believe that we're on the right path. And hopefully, at this rate, we'll win. It might be 10 years before we see the win. But if it goes any faster than this, we'll see bloody revolution, which is unpredictable. The problem with bloody revolution is that you don't know who's going to win. This is why I often refer to South America as communist dictators and cartels, because you don't know who's going to win. The revolution hangover is always bloody. But I also agree with Adam Kokesh that although I haven't watched him in a while, I don't know if he's still got a channel or not, but where he said, and I don't know if he was quoting somebody else, but that a tyrannical government makes peaceful revolution impossible at some point, and that is true. That is true. And I think a lot of people realize that, and they're like, okay, well, let's avoid this. And the best way to avoid this is accountability. So, slow but sure, but we're going to get there. It's not the dog in the fight. It's the fight in the dog. So we got skin in the game. Let's call them out. The best is truth bombing, and that seems to be the best weapon we have. Is just tell the truth. Point out when you see a policy come out that's bad. Point it out. Point out who brought in the policy. Point it out who agreed with this policy. That's how we get there. But anyway, damn Canadians hiding Notregme. The only that don't see this is the Mother Corp and Sister PM cabinet in Ottawa. Most people, they just too dumb to know. Some folks, some churches support Israel, and when we oppose Zionist Christians, their tainted views, my friend, are another great video. Their views are tainted, my friend. Well, like I say, the supporting of Israel at whatever Israel says, jump, say hi. There is the Zionist neocon types out there. Not all of them are Jews. A lot of them are Christians too. And these are the ones that, well, if Israel says we have to go to war, we go to war. And the Greater Israel Project is why we are most likely in the United States, in the Middle East. And that said, the evidence of it, just go research the Greater Israel Project for yourself, and just look at the coincidence that what they were talking about back then is what you're seeing now. Look at the Clarity plan. Look at the migrant crisis going on right now. Did they implement it officially? No, but that's what you're seeing happen. The Samson option. Look at those three things, and then tell me if you're, for the Judeo-Zionist Christian Israeli foreign policy. You won't be. And if you are, then at that point, well, then we're at odds with each other. But like what I say is that there's a lot of Christians that cannot separate the government of Israel from biblical Israel. Therefore, when Israel says, you have to go fight for us and fight our wars for us, they say jump, the Christians say how high. And we need to combat against that. So I'm not against Christians, I'm not even against Jews. What I'm saying is when these crazy, batshit crazy governments want to take us to war on whatever, because Israel said so, because some of these people believe that they're the chosen people and that they have the right to rule over everybody, then we got to call that bullshit out. Say, okay, even let's say the Bible was 100% correct, and that is true, and it comes out, and there's no way to, nobody, not even the atheists can refute it or whatever. I don't think anywhere God says that even the Israelis have the right to go and cause wars all over the place. So they have the right to defend themselves, sure. You know, walk softly, carry a big stick, turn the other cheek, okay, fine. Well, that's more Christian, whatever, but you get... But the thing is when it says that, okay, because we have to look at the Christian aspect, because it's the Christians that enable the Zionist Jews to do what they're doing. And not all Jews are Zionists, I know that. But the ones that are at the top, the Steens and Steins and Bergs, again, look at every bad law that comes in forever, every bad banking practice that comes in, every bad immigration policy that comes in, Steen, Steiner, Berg at the top. So there's a recurring theme there. So like the Muslim problem, it's like, okay, not all Muslims are terrorists. We know this. But there's a large faction of Muslims that are terrorists, and we have to acknowledge that. And yes, it has something to do with Islam. Not all Jews are Zionists. I know that. There's not a Jew in my glove trying to get at me. I know that. But every time we see a bad banking practice policy and all this criminality, Steens, Steins, and Bergs. You know, again, there's a big minority of them, but they're in power. That's the problem. So before they turn racist, bigot, xenophobe, homophobe, anti-Semite, all that stuff on you, you point that out. You point out the machinations that are bad. And I think that's what's happening now, and they don't know how to counter that because they're still stuck in the Saul Alinsky rule of ridicule where, there's no defense against it. Well, there is truth over time. And moments of truth can destroy thousands of years of lies like that. It's just a matter of getting the people. You might be able to dupe them today, but if we're consistent on our side, eventually, every time we win a person on our side that follows, you follow what I'm talking about. You're winning for the side of rule of law. You're winning for the side of peace. You're winning for the side that keeps the craziness away. And those people, they can't be subverted by the government or the mainstream media after, because once they know the truth, then it's either practice cognitive dissonance or you change your view. And that's what my goal is for this channel, and many people like me. So whether I speak or not, I think it's going to happen anyway. So anyway, if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourself, be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. G'day, hi, and welcome. Q&A, whatever it is. For those of you joining me for the very first time, this is me just responding to various questions and comments I get on various different videos. I never censor my comments. Always encourage people to jump in on the conversation because it's usually pretty fantastical. Whether we agree to disagree. Always good to say your piece. And today's date is the 9th of January, 2016. All right, let's just jump into it. Okay, but first, I'm a little parched. So I've had this cup since 1993. I got it at Daytona Beach, and it was filled with Bahama Mamas. It was really good, really good. Yeah. $5 for the glass, free refills for the night. I remember the first 2 glasses. What a night. Anyway, all right, so let's jump in on this. I guess we'll be getting close to bike weekend again, eh? Yeah. Oh, you mean motorcycles? It's the middle of January. Well, it's like not even the middle of January. It's not even the middle of January. It's like -20, and I'm cold in the damn house, and it's like whatever. The only motorcycle. I went and looked at my poor motorcycle the other day before we jump into this. This is important. This is very important. And I looked at it, and I heard this soulful sounding violin going. Really sad. And I look at my motorcycle, it was all there like, I'm frosted, I'm frozen, and I'm dying. I don't know if I can make it till spring. My clutch lever, down. My brake lever has no will to live. My throttle is limp. My back tire is flat. Well, my back tire wasn't flat, but that's true pneumatic. My tank is empty. Although I filled it up and put the fuel saver in there. But, getting back to that, I don't think this motorcycle is going to make it. Rev on, my friends. Rev on. Down the road. Oh. It's true, that's what my motorcycle did. No, I actually didn't do that, but I looked at it, it was all frosted. I was like, I hate winter. I hate you, winter. Although I did went out skating the other day, it was fun. All right, so, anyway. All I see in common, man being enslaved and treated like a subhuman more every day, and the consistent